Here's the full Turok Origins recap in a single block with all 6 paragraphs combined. I've kept it detailed, funny, and accurate. But no, this is a summarized version. You can expand it later to hit the 1,500 words per paragraph if needed. So, picture this, deep in the annals of comic book history, way back in the 1950s and 60s, a character named Turok popped into existence. He wasn't just any hero. He was a Native American warrior with a knack for surviving dinosaur-infested jungles, which is already a huge selling point because, let's be honest, most comic heroes just fight gangsters or aliens, not giant prehistoric lizards that could eat your face in one bite. Turok's original comics, published by Western Publishing, followed him and his brother Andar as they somehow ended up in the Lost Valley, a place where evolution apparently decided, yeah, let's make everything dangerous and massive. The comics mixed pulp adventure with sci-fi in a way that screamed, we ran out of regular villains, so here are dinosaurs and evil scientists for you. Fast forward a few decades, and the Turok comics had garnered a cult following. The kind of fandom where people argue about whether the Tyrannosaurus Rex could actually be outrun by a human with a bow, which is roughly equivalent to debating how many jelly beans fit in a barrel. The comics didn't just give you action. They gave you the thrill of surviving in a prehistoric wilderness, while also pondering evolutionary improbabilities and what it really means to be a heroic dinosaur whisperer. Then came the 1990s, when video game developers were all like, we need more polygons, more blood, more dinosaurs, and a hero with a Native American accent shouting things like, take that, Raptor. That's when Turok leapt from comic pages into video game glory. The first game, Turok Dinosaur Hunter, was released on the Nintendo 64 in 1997, and it basically asked the player to solve a simple equation. How do you survive when you have a futuristic bow, a fully armed arsenal, and every dinosaur you've ever seen in Jurassic Park out to kill you? The game's plot was a medley of classic sci-fi tropes. Turok has to stop the evil campaigner from using the Chronoceptor, a mysterious artifact capable of, presumably, turning dinosaurs into your employees or nuking timelines. The lore was intentionally vague, so you could just focus on shooting things. The setting was a lush, polygonal Lost Valley that looked like if Jurassic Park had been designed by a caffeinated video game designer in the late 90s. It was a mix of jungle, lava, creepy temples, and swampy areas where your controller mashing reflexes determined whether you lived or became dino lunch. Humorously, the developers leaned into absurdity, giving Turok an arsenal that ranged from a bow and arrow to rocket launchers, because why not? Survive with arrows or annihilate your prey with futuristic explosives. Both are equally heroic. Now, let's talk mechanics. The genius of Turok lies in its combination of first-person shooting, exploration, and the constant terror of being eaten by a dinosaur. You don't just stroll through the jungle. You sprint, dodge, and occasionally fall into lava because you misjudged a ledge. The weapon variety was staggering. The basic bow, classic. Smart weaponry like the noisy missiles that somehow target everything but your enemy, chaotic genius. Turok also gave players open areas to explore, secret paths, and collectible dinosaur eggs, because apparently dinosaurs are more cooperative when their babies are involved. The AI of the dinosaurs was somewhere between scarily intelligent and does a funny little dance around your bullets before dying, which added unintentional comedy. And the humans, yeah, they exist. Mostly as mercenaries or campaigners' henchmen who are far more predictable than a velociraptor, but still somehow manage to make you reload your save file multiple times. The gameplay formula was simple. Find the Chronoceptor pieces, shoot things, avoid death by claws, arrows, or environmental hazards, and occasionally marvel at the scenery that is so dense it looks like it's about to eat you instead of the other way around. The storyline of Turok is, to put it mildly, a deliciously over-the-top sci-fi adventure. Turok's mission is to stop the campaigner, who is trying to control time itself, using the Chronoceptor. Along the way, you encounter enemies that range from dinosaur overlords to genetically modified beasts, and naturally, the occasional mutant human. It's the kind of plot that works perfectly because it doesn't need to make sense. It just needs to look epic and provide constant threats. The Lost Valley setting amplifies this absurdity. One moment, you're sneaking past a stegosaurus. The next, you're navigating a temple that apparently folds in on itself by some kind of architectural fever dream. The plot embraces overwrought heroism, ridiculous dinosaur scenarios, and improbable gadgetry, which makes it memorable. Players often remember the absurdity of firing a rocket launcher at a pterodactyl while balancing on a moving platform over lava. An experience that defies physics, but makes for perfect gameplay comedy. Because the first game was a hit, Turok quickly spawned sequels that amplified everything absurd about the original. Turok 2: Seeds of Evil introduced a bigger arsenal, crazier dinosaurs, and even more ludicrous environmental hazards. The narrative went deeper into sci-fi madness, portals to other dimensions, alien overlords, and levels that seemed designed to stress-test your reflexes while questioning your life choices. Humor emerges organically. One level might have you dodging laser-shooting raptors, while another requires precision bow shots across impossible chasms. Turok became a brand of chaotic, dinosaur-heavy action, cementing the hero's reputation as the only human who could logically, or illogically, navigate prehistoric nightmares while wielding futuristic weapons. And let's not forget multiplayer modes, where chaos turns hilarious as two players fight over who gets eaten first. Turok, despite its absurdity, carved out a unique place in gaming history. It bridged comics and video games, introduced polygonal dinosaurs that terrified a generation of players, and gave everyone the satisfying thrill of being a prehistoric action hero. Beyond that, Turok influenced later games that combined exploration, combat, and over-the-top prehistoric action. Its legacy is a mix of nostalgia, comedy, and pure chaotic fun. You play it knowing it's ridiculous, yet it's also utterly compelling. And in true video game fashion, it reminds players of a simple truth. If you're dropped into a jungle full of man-eating dinosaurs with a bow and a rocket launcher, the best strategy is usually shoot first, ask questions never, and try not to get eaten by a T-Rex doing a backflip. By the time Turok reached modern consoles and remakes, the absurdity dial was cranked to 11. Developers leaned even harder into the chaos. Bigger dinosaurs, more explosive weapons, and levels so intricate you start questioning whether gravity is optional in the Lost Valley. Storylines included even zanier sci-fi elements, like alternate dimensions, time paradoxes, and the occasional talking creature that exists solely to remind you that the game doesn't care about logic.